Hello guys and welcome to this very special snippet video where we discuss the top 3 lists at this year's Triple Crown Wargaming Grand Tournament. So that's the 2022 one if you're watching this in the far future.
Which happened just last weekend, if you're watching this when it came out.
Yeah, and if you're watching it when we filmed it, which you can't be, it happened yesterday.
And if you're watching not so far in the future, but far in the future, the last weekend was a distant memory, is the 6th and 7th of May.
Or even the 7th and 8th.
7th and 8th of May, 2022.
Other dates are available.
Thanks, Max. But yes, so we've got the top 3 lists here. One of them has, well, 2 of them actually. I'm not sure this one changed either. Maybe slightly. One of them, in its exact form, has appeared in the top 3 before.
Yes. 2 of them, actually, I think.
I don't think that one was exactly the same. I think that unit was different.
Oh, yes, apologies,
Yeah,
you are correct.
So I think it was slightly different. But this one, the 3rd place list, Callum's Dwarves.
Callum Hyam.
Yeah, it was exactly the same as the Dwarf list he took.
2019?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 years ago, but it wasn't. It was 2 Triple Crowns ago.
Which he also
it wasn't 2 years ago.
Came 3rd with.
He did. So it's a +5 list now, which it was +3 when he took it before, because we've slightly changed the comp on Dwarves.
Yeah.
So he's got a Rune Lord with a shield, a Rune of Fire, 2 runes of Spellbreaking, and a Rune of Stone. He's got a Rune Smith with a shield, a single Rune of Spellbreaking, and a Rune of Stone. He's got a Thane, who's his BSB, with a shield, and the Master Rune of Grudney.
I like that one.
Yeah. His core is 29 Dwarf Warriors with full command and shields. He's got 14 Quarrelers with a standard and great weapons, and he's got 10 Thunderers with shields. In his special, he's got a cannon with a Rune of Forging, a Grudge Thrower with a Rune of Accuracy and the Rune of Penetrating, a Gyrocopter with a Steam Gun, 26 Hammerers with a standard and the Master Rune of Grotch One Eye. In rare, he's got a Gyro Bomber, 99 Drakes with a Musician and standard, and 2 runes of Slowness, and an Organ Gun with a Rune of Accuracy. So his big pluses really are being Highlander.
Yep.
The Rune Lord.
The Rune Lord.
Dwarf Warriors.
And the Dwarf Warriors? Warriors, even.
Gyro Bomber?
No.
No, they're decent.
Well,
Bombers?
The Bombers are not. But they form part of a type of list that's quite powerful. So you don't want to give them pluses, but you certainly don't want to give them minuses.
He's not been hit on any of the double war machines.
He's not taken like Rune of Accuracy or Rune of Forging that many times across the army, especially Rune of Forging.
Rune of Forging he's only got once.
Yeah.
Accuracy he's got twice. He's got it on the Grudge Thrower and the Organ Gun, which I think is the right.
Yeah.
A good choice.
Does Accuracy actually work on the cannon?
I don't know.
I don't. Off the top of my head, can't remember. On the Grudge Thrower, it's an interesting choice because it allows you to re-roll the scatter dice rather than the artillery dice.
Yeah, which is Rune of Forging.
Yeah, which I think, in my gut, I feel like that's the one I'd probably want. I'd probably want to re-roll the one that potentially misfires.
I think it depends what your game plan is, whether you're going for I want to kill stuff or I want to not lose my Grudge Thrower.
Yeah. I suppose with one, I think I'd definitely be inclined, and I'm not normally the defensive guy, but I think I'd be more inclined to go forging. But with accuracy and pen, you're basically saying I'm going to hit more regularly, and it's going to be strength 4 on the burst, which is strong.
Yeah, very good. He's got the Master Rune of Grotch One Eye, which is on the standard of the Hammerers. That's the stubborn bubble.
Everyone within 12 is stubborn. Yeah,
stubborn bubble. Very good. Normally, you'd see it on a Thane BSB. Well, the only other model that can take it is a Thane BSB. The Hammerers can take it because they've got 75 points of Runic Magic.
Yeah.
Runic Magic? Runic Standard.
And I think the thing here is, on a BSB, I don't actually think it's very good.
No, because you don't get much for save.
It's a Master Rune as well, so you can't combine it with Grudney, which is what he had, which gives the BSB a 4+ ward save.
Yeah.
And everyone's 6 inches of 5+ ward save as well.
Against shooting.
Yes.
He gets a 4 up against everything though, which is great. So it makes him like really tanky, and it helps to buff his army. That's a great rune. Look, this is a very standard dwarf type list. I don't necessarily think Callum is your standard level of player. He's certainly got a very good record with Skaven, dwarves, and Empire, and those are not necessarily the most obviously competitive factions.
No.
And he does consistently do very well. He placed very highly at Cardiff Crusade 2021. He placed third at last year's Triple Crown GT with Skaven.
He did.
And
he does like a third place.
Does love a third place, yeah.
I think he came third at Cardiff.
No, he didn't. I did. He came above me.
You did. Yeah.
He came above me at Cardiff.
Yeah, he came second.
But still didn't win.
Ooh!
The game when he played me.
Oh, from the hip.
Well, I've got to have like some level of something over him because he finished above me. He's a better painter than me. People like him. So, you know, I've got to say, well, when he played me at Cardiff, and he absolutely spanked me in a practice game for Cardiff like 2 weeks before as well. So I've got to take my small wins where I can get them. It's pretty simple stuff. The Rune Lord will go in with the Hammerers to take away regeneration with his Rune of Fire.
Yeah.
Which is pretty standard stuff. If you've watched the Dwarf Deep Dive, you'll see us talk about that being, you know, kind of dependable and safe. And that's probably the way I look at that army. It's all quite dependable. You're going to have to kill a lot of it to the man because of the Grotch One Eye. I think he's found a nice little niche there. Whether that continues to exist as a niche in a composition, we'll see.
Yeah.
With the Grotch One Eye on the Hammerers.
Is it Grotch or is it Groth?
That's Grotch.
Is it Grotch?
Grotch. I think it's Grotch One Eye, yeah. Either way, Grotch or Groth, other pronunciations are available. I know he said that he doesn't feel like there's concessions in that list. And I'm not, you know, here to disagree with a man whose record with dwarves is really very good.
I could probably concede that I'd probably change Dwarf Warriors to Longbeards. That's just me.
I don't mind them when they're stubborn. They're still quite hard to get through.
They are.
For me, it's the lack of twos of anything. It's the lack of like 2 gyrocopters or
2 organ guns.
2 organ
cannons
guns.
or yeah.
But then he has got the Iron Drakes, and I think this is the thing that he's doing with the list. He's saying, yeah, I haven't got 2 lots of Quarrelers, but I have got Quarrelers and Thunderers. I can be Highlander and I can still have 2 kind of chaff clearance type units.
Yeah.
I have got kind of 2 flying redirectors because I've gone for the Bomber and the Copter.
He doesn't need to pay out for the Runic Burning on, say, a cannon because you can just Iron Drake it.
Yeah, and the Iron Drakes also kind of operate like an organ gun in the sort of average amount of output they deliver.
I was just speaking to Callum over the weekend. He did say he likes to use his Iron Drakes as a a slightly worse unit of Iron Breakers. They don't have like the sort of staying power in combat with the 5-up save all round and the 5 parry save all round.
No, they do have a 6-up ward though.
They do have a 6-up. So he said he likes to use it because basically an Iron Breaker stat line as far as
they are. Yeah, they're exactly the same.
He likes to use it as an Iron Breaker with a shooting attack, and that's how he described it to me over the weekend, which I actually think is a pretty good way of looking at it.
That's tactically really interesting way of thinking about them because suddenly you could look at them and think, actually, I won't take Iron Breakers, I'll take them instead. So I think he's found a really interesting niche there.
Yeah.
Gives you more points in your special attacks some Hammerers, which they hit a lot, very hard.
Yeah, they do.
They hit a lot harder.
Now, I'm sure Callum won't mind me saying that his victory points scored were very low for the top sort of 10. I think they were, you know, quite towards the... I think they were certainly, I think, the lowest in the top 5 players, and there were guys...
Top three, the second and first both breached 10,000 victory points.
Oh, and the rest. First place breached 12,000 victory
He only
points.
got 13.
Yeah. But I think that Callum had...
He had the second lowest in the top 10.
In the top 10.
Yeah.
In
Who was
third
the lowest?
place.
It was 7th place.
Yeah, so
So
there you go. So what you're saying
Oh,
is I think that's a really good way of illustrating why this list has worked for him again. And it's because it doesn't...
It just doesn't give away points.
It doesn't give away points,
No.
clearly, because he's not gone out and got lots and lots. He got 8,000 across 5 games.
8,700, yeah.
Okay, across the 5 games. So that's, what, 1,600 a game? Scott will tell me with his...
1,740 roughly points
Oh, okay,
again.
so not bad.
Yeah. 1,741 and a bit.
Not bad, but then you're always going to give some away.
Yeah.
So you've got to think, you know, that's you know, you're not talking about giddy high margins there,
No.
but that list is working because everything's going to be stubborn.
So you almost have to kill it to the man with dwarf leadership.
And it's very tough. The army will be sort of...
Unless you can Arcane... Can you Arcane Forge ring items? You can't, can you?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you can?
Yep, yeah,
Unless you Arcane Forge the Groth One Eye.
So if you've got that spell and you've got
if
the
you're
right
the two
army,
or three armies in the game that could
yeah.
take that spell.
And you actually get it.
Yeah. And cast it.
And don't think, I'll stop it for saying else, because you don't know he's got Watch one eye when you set up. And I would say for Callum, it's not that common on the Hammerers.
It's not.
Because they come stubborn themselves. So they're not actually
so it feels
getting
like
a
actually
benefit.
you're wasting the points of the banner a bit because you're giving them a rule they've already got.
Exactly. So you know, but he's carved out that niche there, and I think that's clearly worked for him.
I will say that you say that he doesn't. You know, he's averaged sort of not that many victory points. He lost 2 of his games. He lost 11-9, so a very small loss, and he lost to 17-3. And in those 2 games, he only scored just over 1,000 points between them. So in one of his games, he scored 3,300, and another he scored 2,729. So he's the list is and Callum is certainly capable of scoring a lot of points.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I just think it has to have the right matchup to score all those points.
That's it. It starts first and foremost by not giving points away, because whilst you're right to pick out those individual results, I always think you've got to look at the average across your games, because that's probably giving you the most accurate performance when they're up at the top of the draw like that. Only the 1 loss.
2 losses.
Oh, 2 losses. Sorry.
A small loss.
A small loss, and then a reasonably decent loss, but then, like you say, a couple of big wins, which helps to average him out.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Callum's skill as a player and understanding his list in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
But I think first and foremost, it's fair to say that the list doesn't give points away.
No,
it does not.
No, it really doesn't.
Dwarves do that quite well, to be honest.
They are sort of quite good at that. He also averaged a 13.4 tournament points in his games. So he got 15, 2 20s, a 9 and a 3.
So I think that tells a story. Again, we talk about Dwarves a lot being an army that wins if it wins consistently, it generally does it by small margins, and it's an army that's generally quite hard to beat. And you've seen that. There's that one very, slight loss.
Yeah.
And even the big loss, a 17-3 is a big loss, but you've got to look at that and think, if he was playing the same matchup with an elf type faction, that probably would have been more points, or an empire type faction. It probably would have been a 20-0 for his opponent, because he's not, but when you've got a stubborn quarreler, you know what I mean, sort of thing, holding it up like that. I think that the general design of that list is to be more defensive. It was a +5 comp, so it got a nice little bamf on the comp at the end, which is designed to balance up the fact that he's took some concessions, and I think for me those concessions start with the Highlander. I know that Callum disagrees, but props to Callum. I think he's done a great job with the list again.
Yeah, you can lose the Highlander and swap out the Dwarf Warriors to the Longbit. You still end up with a plus score.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just +1, I think it'd be.
Yeah, it'd be plus
Highlanders +3 for Dwarf still.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you're +1. It still is
still be a
pretty
plus.
decent. Good. It's
just whether it's just what you swap out. So how you lose Highlander, as it were.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it worth it to actually lose those
the first one be Gyrobomber to Gyrocopter.
Yeah, he's got to find points to do that as well, because the long-bearded unit he will be considerably smaller, because they are a lot more.
I mean, if you swap the Gyrobomber, it gives you some points there.
Yeah.
Not many. I know it's not many, but it's still
maybe enough. Maybe enough to turn 29, 30 warriors into 25, maybe, with the extra points from the bomber.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd have to really.
But then you've got to say, actually, is the change to a Gyrocopter over a Gyrobomber worth 600 points over the weekend?
It's another steam gun.
It's probably not going to score you 600 points.
It's
though.
not, no.
And that's the beauty of.
And it won't win you the best Highlander award.
No, it won't.
Which doesn't get you a cool skull cup.
It does not. No.
So shall we move on?
Should we move on? Yes, to a newcomer to the top flights of the Triple Crown.
My boy.
Flights. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
Lots of flights in that, aren't we?
Yeah. So this is Chris Hale's Wood Elves. This is small minus, a -2. And he's gone with a Spellweaver level 4 on the Law of Shadow, with the Book of Asher and the Talisman of Endurance, using all of her magical allowance there. A Glade Captain BSB with a Moonstone of the Hidden Ways and the Enchanted Shield. He's got 22 Eternal Guard with full command and shields. 4 units of 10 Glade Guard, all with Hagbane tips, that's the poison arrows. He's got 2 units of 10 Deepwood Scouts with True Flight arrows. He's got 5 War Dancers, 7 Wild Riders with a standard, Banner of Eternal Flame and shields. 5 Wild Riders with shields, and a Great Fire Dragon. Lots of words.
He did really well.
He did. I actually think it's 3 units of 10 Digwood Scouts. Apologies with True Flyers.
In my head it was.
Because he had 70 shots.
I never saw him use 2.
I thought it was.
I might be wrong. One year might have
70
died
shots.
immediately, but I thought I only ever saw 2.
So probably they have.
We will clarify in description.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I like this. He brought in the Arcanum, and that Fire Dragon is surprisingly terrifying.
That Great Fire Dragon, the big one, the 7s one.
As James pointed out, he's a Star Dragon level 5. It's Star Dragon level dragon.
Yeah,
Yes.
in your
Get
rare
your words
slot.
out.
In your rare slot without paying
Without the Bad Rider.
without paying the ride attacks.
Yeah.
What is this? 390 points.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Look, that Monsters Arcanum section should be attractive to Wood Elf players. The rare slot in their book is
Not very good.
Okay.
What are you on about? You got Tree Men.
Eagles.
And Weight
good.
Watchers.
Weight Watchers.
Too many points for me,
That's
but
it.
I know people do.
They
like
are
them.
good. They are good, but they are pointy. So.
But he has
And
taken.
not just in the ears.
Yeah, well. He has taken the Wood Elf Holy Grail of Laura Shadow.
He has, yeah.
He's paid the comp for that as well.
He has
He
paid the
has.
comp for that, but to be honest, it did work out very well for him.
It's a very good law for them. It's fantastic
is.
for them. I don't think I'd have as many poison shots as he does with Shadow, personally. I'd probably have some. I'd probably have 20 or 30 rather than 40.
Would you swap the Hagbane would you swap the Deepwood Scouts around? The Deepwoods having the poison
No.
and the Gullyguard having the
Not
True Flight?
necessarily, I don't think.
I
Possibly, but not
actually think
necessarily.
the True Flight on the Deepwoods is pretty inspired.
Because you're going to move them a lot.
Because you're going to march them a
Yeah.
lot. So I think that's quite smart. I would have got probably some Starfire in there. Or is it, no, it might be Moon.
No, it's
No,
Starfire.
Starfire is the one that wounds.
Yeah, the good
The
one.
one that wounds is +1 to wound flaming on destruction.
Yeah.
And the reason is because generally destruction armies have more regeneration.
They do.
Than
Non-destruction.
than Order armies.
Yeah.
So I probably would have had 10 of those in my Glade Guard in this list for the way that
Okay.
he's set up. Well, I probably would have done it with Glade Guard because he's gone 3 lots to the Deepwood Scouts. I probably would have gone, you know what, I'll put 10 of these at the back. Rather than changing the way I'm using because I've got a style of using my Deepwoods with True Flight and marching them about a lot, I might have been tempted to put 10 at the back. But I could have equally gone, I'll put 10. I probably would have had an even split like you. I probably would have had 30 Hagbane, 30 True Flight, and maybe 10 of the others.
Yeah.
I would have played around in some practice games and I would have
As to
seen
where
that.
those arrows went.
Exactly,
He did use the Moonstone to quite a great effect in his game 4. I think when you did both watched it, he played Dark Elves. And he had that Witch Elf block facing him down, and he just went, the Eternal Wild, no, I'm over there now.
Yeah.
Now,
Suddenly the Witch Elves can't charge anything because there's nothing in their arc.
yeah, the Witch Elves then did get charged in the bum by the Fire Dragon.
They did, which I'll be honest,
We both thought that was very risky.
I still think it's a mistake. I just think Chris got lucky.
Chris got incredibly lucky. The Witch Elves didn't kill it, and then the Fire Dragon tore apart the BSB and took away their frenzy.
I think that we know Chris quite well.
We do.
And I think I talked to him before the event and I said to him, check out the 20-0 tactics on Laura Shadow. I think there's some really good stuff in there for your list, and I hadn't seen his list at the time, but I was like, I think that'll really help. What I see there is a lot of the stuff from that video happening. I think that, it's easy for us to say we take a bit more True Flight or a bit less Hagbane and maybe take some Flaming, but I think we're thinking there maybe a little bit more towards trying to make the list maybe a little more all-comers, if you like. And actually, when you look at the matchups and the stuff that he had to take on, I look at it and think I'd have set up every game thinking, I wish I had 10 more Hagbane. I wish I had 10 more Hagbane.
He did play. He played Empire. He played Dark Elves.
He played Empire, which he used the Hagbane to obliterate the war machines.
He did, yeah.
Right, which is great because
I think there's only one war machine.
one cannon.
Yeah.
He used it to great effect on that though.
Yeah.
And then he had the True Flights for knocking out I think Balthasar Gelter was behind him. He used the dragon, which again I was dubious about the dragon, but I think actually it worked really well for him because it produced him something that was really scary out of a slot that he's not getting a lot of utility from. He used the breath weapon really well with the Laura Shadow.
Yeah.
To get like maximum kills with that.
Yeah.
And
he burned I think 7 of 10 toughness 1 outright.
It gave him terror, and what it meant was that he had a big scary thing that people felt they had to do something about.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing with that is ordinarily I'd look and say, well, but what you've done is given an enemy a target for a cannon, which it didn't have against your list normally.
No.
But because he's got all that Hagbane,
the cannon should be in it, unless
probably just kills the cannon.
Yeah.
I mean, the cannon can't kill it in one turn, can it? It's got 7 wounds.
Yeah, it can't, but you don't want it to take 6 of them.
6 of them,
no. But then obviously, like the symmetry guy in me wants him to, take 2 units of 6 Wild Riders, not 1 unit of 7, 1 unit of 5. I want those to be equal, but I know 7's the optimal unit size for Wild Riders.
I think it is. I certainly think the Banner of Eternal Flame on them is another interesting choice. I know it served him really well. He played Demons of Chaos, which had lots of regenerating Beasts of Nurgle, and I know that it produced some really great results, killing characters in particular that were using the regeneration Locust for him, which was great.
Nurgle,
I probably wouldn't have had the... I think it's a slightly more skewed version of the list than I would take, but actually that worked out so well for him.
In the matchups that he got.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he obviously did, because he's the only person that won 5 out of 5 games.
He was the only undefeated.
This would have been... Well, no, he wasn't the only undefeated. There were some guys that got 4 and a draw. He was the only that won 5.
Yeah.
Chris, if you're watching this, you didn't know that already, you're the only person that actually won all their games.
All 5, yeah. Which is a phenomenal achievement.
Staggering, yeah.
When you consider that he did fight Wall of Nurgle.
He did.
The kind of... And it was a big -6, I think, the Wall of Nurgle he took on.
Yeah.
He took on Balthasar Gelt, Incarnate version from the End Times, which he also gave a bit of a going over to. He took on a very strong Dark Elf army, which Phil won 4 games. I think the only game he lost was that one.
Yeah, you think he actually did, to be honest?
He didn't win 4, he drew his first one.
Okay.
But that was the only one he lost against Chris.
Yeah. So again, a strong performance that was halted by that list. And again, I looked at that game and thought, wow, yeah, all those poison shots. Would I rather have that over True Flight against Dark Elves? Yeah, I would. Because they're not gonna. Okay. Well, they're not gonna have a lot of shenanigan to block me off.
No, but it's everything's very fast. You can hide stuff really well. So
everything's really fast. It's great. So you can either stand off me and I'll shoot it.
No, so it just dances around out of your arc, so you have to move to then shoot it.
But you still got the True Flights on the moving units.
Yeah. But I think I'd still want
and stuff
more,
like the massive unit of witches. Not a problem.
No, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And when you sort of start looking at, I just think like it doesn't all, certainly for the first 2 turns, if you come across the corner, it doesn't all get out of your arc.
No.
There's fantastic synergy there, obviously, with Enfeebling Foe as well across the whole army. That works everywhere. But actually, by having the big tough monster, he gets a lot more out of the Withering, where he can reduce... Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong way around. Withering, amazing to lower toughness. Whole army, but he gets more out of the monster by lowering your strength from Enfeebling Foe.
Yeah.
He gets more out of the
Eternal Guard
when he makes some Occam's Mind Razors.
He used the Eternal Guard very well with the Occam's Mind Razors. He used them incredibly well over the course of the entire weekend. Yeah,
and again, I think you can tag on to the power with that of saying, well, once you start dropping weapon skill and initiative and things like that as well, he can draw. He was also using them to draw units into the wood, which is something I've talked about myself before, in that it means the enemy's not steadfast, but you're stubborn.
Yeah.
So, and you also reroll the ones to wound in the wood, fighting the extra rank. Not that he had a big unit, but if he'd have had 22. Not massive.
I think he had 4 ranks to start with because he had the 2 characters in there.
But you can push them tight. You see, and get your maximum attacks, which is also clever because it forces that down. I think things like the War Dancers are still great. They're useful. Little character assassins, chaff. They'll deck other people's chaff most of the time as well. They also get really strong with the shadow signature. Which goes out my brain. Melikhov's
mystifying.
You drop a point of weapon skill basically on any average troop, and they're being hit on a 5.
Yeah.
His weapon skill 6.
His average score is 15.
Yeah, bang on average of 15, which, you know, he's really good across 5 games for Wood Elves to average of 15.
Honestly, as a Wood Elf general, I'd be ecstatic if I went to a GT and came away with 5 15s.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at that and thinking, I could bag this. I could bag this GT.
His
with
smallest
this army.
win was a 13-7.
Yeah, that's
Which
fantastic.
Which is good for Wood Elves. A 13-7 is a good win.
Yeah.
That's a I'm playing a really tough army.
Yeah.
That's really difficult for me, and I've played my socks off and got a great result. And I think that was against.
That he got
Demons of
2.
Chaos.
He got 1 against Demons of Chaos, and he got another in round 3, which was against Chaos Dwarves.
Another really tough army.
Yeah.
So again, actually, that Chaos Dwarf army, you look at that and think, what do I want more of against Chaos Dwarves? I always want more of poison.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to.
Especially because that
roll
Chaos
to
Dwarf army had a
wound.
Magma Dragon.
Yeah, I
It
don't
did
have to
have
roll
Magma
to wound
Dragon, yeah.
against those tough monsters and tough enemy
Artillery.
units and those artillery
Yeah.
pieces. So that's what I mean. I think that perfect stormed it together for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And made the list actually slightly better for this GT. So
Yeah. And he went out there and got the points. He averaged 2,315 points in all of his games.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
breached 10,000, didn't
He breached 11.
11,000.
11,575.
And I mean, it does include scoring submissions, and that's also
It
worth
does.
pointing out when we talked about Callum's big scores. They also will have included scoring missions, I imagine.
Yeah. I think both Callum's big wins. No, one was round 5, so that wasn't a mission. But the 3,300 was, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it does include the mission points that are available, the VPs there, but
Sorry, Callum's round 5 20-0 was when the Beastman Dragon killed.
this Walkfire Dragon.
Yeah, the Warfire Dragon killed like
a million
all
of
the
his
best
own
of
models.
all,
Yeah.
So
Which
that
is
helped.
you know,
No, not taking it away from Callum. He killed the dragon.
you have to be in
But,
a position to take the win on from there
Absolutely.
as well. And I think with Chris, like you say, he's built a list this time round that is much more focused on what he's going to get off you than what he's going to give away
lose.
himself.
Yeah.
And that is always, if you're going to take a fragile army, that's always where to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive props to him.
Good job, Chris.
Inspiring me.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the top 3 club. Well, I'm in that top 3 club.
He inspired
you are.
me.
I am in that top 3 club.
Yeah, I
Get
forgot
it?
about that,
He
yeah.
inspired me
Thanks,
so
mate.
much going into his 5th game against the Nurgle Demons that I spent most of that round writing a Wood Elf list. If I buy a Wood Elf army, Chris, it's your fault.
If only you hadn't given a Wood Elf army away.
Yeah, well, I've got a
As I said to
Battalion
him,
army
you
instead.
can always swap it back.
I'm not swapping.
After he just paid
Yeah.
Tony's painted.
No,
Yeah?
no, you're not getting painted Bretts out of this.
I am a nice guy.
Don't.
All
lie.
he's done is basically hold on to your Wood Elves for you.
Yeah.
I've added paint
And
to them.
I've paid the interest of getting a Battalion army painted.
I'm a
I
neat
didn't
guy.
paint it, but yeah, I think we've said all we can about Chris's list.
Yep.
Good
Let's
job,
move
mate.
on to the winner, second time winner
Yeah, 2-time.
Yeah.
of
And
Triple Crown GT.
second place last year as well. He
Second
was the
place last
bridesmaid.
year. He
Back
was.
to being the bride.
It is, of course, Matt Pass with his Demons of Chaos.
Before we continue, I think we all know what kind of Demons Chaos army this is going to be.
Yeah, I think we probably do. It was I want to say second biggest minus. Yeah, there was a -7. It was the second biggest minus we had at Triple Crown this year, with his Demons of Nurgle at -6. So he had Epidemius, obviously.
Obs.
He had a Herald of Nurgle BSB on a Palanquin of Nurgle with the Greater Locus of Fecundity and a Greater Gift. He had 15 Daemonettes of Slaanesh with a Champion and a Standard Bearer for the plus. He had 31 Plaguebearers of Nurgle with full command and the Standard of Discipline. He had a unit of 5 Beasts of Nurgle, 2 units of 4 Beasts of Nurgle, a Skull Cannon of Khorne, 4 Plague Drones of Nurgle with full command, the Gleaming Pennant and the Plague Proboscis upgrade, and a unit of 3 Plague Drones of Nurgle with a Musician, Standard, the Banner of Eternal Flame, and again, the Plague Proboscis upgrade.
Yeah.
There are, those 15 Daemonettes really are the only concession choice. In this list.
It's for the +1 comp.
Obviously, yeah. There's literally no other reason you'd put them in.
No, I think me and
I-
Jane, me and you talk about a second concession we'd have on it. In terms of a locus, what we'd change up.
Yeah, I'd change the locus to Fecundity.
But let's not beat around the bush. This is the Wall of Nurgle in its entirety.
It's a really strong list, and
Yeah, but on the Locus, you can't say the Locus is a concession.
No, sorry, not
it's not a
concession.
concession.
Sorry,
No,
not
no, no,
concession.
no.
Saying I
Max was
changed.
just we just.
Oh well,
said we
yeah.
would change
There
that.
are some things I'd change from it. I think the only concession is the 15 Daemonettes. This is a hardcore
All of Nurgle.
Wall of Nurgle list.
Yep. It's the Daemonettes are bigger now because we changed the
we did.
parameters on them, and I actually saw the Plaguebearer unit die in 2 games. I think it was. I definitely saw it get taken.
Chris Howe killed it in its entirety in game 5.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there was another game where it was there or thereabouts.
Game 4, Matt played Alan Benison, and the Plaguebearers did go down to about 7.
Yeah, so
Close.
I think that the fact that unit is now smaller by virtue of the fact that he's got to make the Daemonettes bigger does help. Look, I know there's a lot of people that will say, hit it harder.
You can't.
You can always hit it harder if you want.
You may be a -7.
But do you hit so hard that it just becomes untakeable?
Look,
that's the issue.
Alan almost had that.
He did. His Demon Prince did.
He was very close to having the win, and then his Demon Prince went down the hole.
No, he didn't go. He
fell down his own purple
Fell
sun.
down a purple sun. Which is still a big hole.
Harder. You're right, 6.
More difficult to do, yeah. Well, I mean, he isn't, but...
I rolled a misfire, then you rolled a 6.
It's less likely to happen, yeah.
Yeah.
But he did, and again, it's a strong list. We all know it's a strong list. I do think sometimes that everyone knows there's gonna be this sort of list there.
Yeah.
You look at Chris's list and you say, look at all those extra poison shots. There is no doubt in my mind that Chris didn't think to himself, I really struggle against Wall of Nurgle. I'm actually gonna go for a few more poison shots than I'm gonna go.
Flaming Banner on the Wild Riders.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Flaming Banner on the and what was the only game he lost? Oh, that one. And I do think sometimes when you're building for a GT, you've got to think about what's in your list and how it works together, but also what you're expecting to fight.
Yeah.
I've talked before about having the Tomb King list that I've used on the channel with the Light Council. That was built because there was a lot of elves fishing about in GTs at the time. I've taken it to GTs where there's very few elves, and it doesn't do anywhere near as well.
You nearly lost to Orcs and Goblins.
I did.
In that GT.
In that GT, I came 3rd with them. I played Orcs and Goblins game 1, and it was a draw.
Yeah.
And then I played elves and Empire and elves and got mass points off the elves, and the Empire guy took a lot of infantry, which did me a massive favour because I could get a lot of points out of them, because if you can kill elves you can kill me.
Kill Empire.
But no, Matt's list, it's there. That's one of the best armies, best lists in the game. It's up there.
Certainly one of the hardest to get many points off.
His TP margin was a lot smaller this year than that's not actually. That's wrong to say it was a lot smaller this year. The gap between 1st and 2nd for TP margin was close, so it wasn't a runaway performance. No. It was 4 points, I think.
It was 4 points,
which is, close. It's not quite the closest it's ever been, but it is. No. We had 1 year it was 1, but
then Matt only lost 1 game over the entire weekend.
He did, which he lost to Chris in round 5.
He did lose to Chris.
The thing with the minus that he's got is it's a big minus. If he drops a few points, what he got? 3 20s did he get?
He got 3 20s, a 16, and then a 7 loss.
That's what I mean. So you've got to look at that and say, right, so if those 3 20s will become 18s, he doesn't win the GT.
Yeah.
He's got to go and actually get that level of win.
Oh,
I know there'll be people saying to me, but it's easy to do that. It's never easy to do that consistently across the GT.
Until you get all the buffs from the tally, the majority of the army is just strength 4.
And there's a lot of tactical stuff that can play into that. Matt's looking to get that tally up, and he's got no magic.
He doesn't have magic
to do it with. He's doing it the old-fashioned way.
Until he does what he did in his fourth game, and summon a unit of Pink Horrors with a Reign of Chaos.
Yes, but that doesn't
hilarious.
Doesn't actually tally though. Which is fair to say.
It does not.
I think
still fine.
I think that
there's nothing. He doesn't take magic.
No magic at all.
There's no magic. He has no
magic. No magic defense.
He has no magical defense. That's why he takes the Purple Suns and he still pulls out the big wittens.
Because he's having to then play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's an element of skill in that.
Yeah, and he got one of those 20s against Alan, who did have a Purple Sun, on a flying wizard.
And he cast that Purple Sun four
times, I think. And it was only like the 4th or the 5th one that he fell down the hole.
The 5th attempt that he cast it 5 times. He misfired twice. And
that is a bit unlucky.
The second misfire killed him.
That's rotten luck. But I always say you need a slice of luck to win a GT.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Matt also got a little bit of a slice of luck with the fact he only got 1 flying Death Wizard. Didn't get a Banner of the World Dragon list, which are normally very prevalent. And actually, I think there was only one this year.
There was one.
So that's a huge slice that he avoided having to deal. Didn't get a Witch Star, which is another list that people don't realise can really put the hurt.
Yeah.
And again, as we were saying earlier, Dark Elves will probably take death as well.
If they're running Morify, they'll be
It's really
taking
good
death.
for them.
Yeah.
So
Even if they don't,
Yeah.
I can see them taking.
you know, like there's always elements in there that you know that list will always rise to the top, to the surface. That type of list.
Yeah.
So when you've got a good pilot and a strong list, it goes places.
Absolutely, yeah. And I just want to point out, because I know Matt will absolutely love this, being out on a video. This was the first time Chris Howe has ever beaten Matt's Wall of Nurgle.
Yeah.
He's played him many times.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Chris Howe will love me saying this. Chris Howe texted his partner after game 4, before game 5, told her he was playing Matt, and she said, you've had a good run.
She did. She did say that. Great.
Well,
But he had an even better run. He pulled it out.
you know what?
Pulled out
And
the
that-
victory.
That's the
I
thing.
I don't want people to know, but I don't want people to see me get beaten
Get
by
beaten
him.
by
Down
him
to be
for
on
the
the
first
stream,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted him on live stream, man. I don't want to get beaten on live stream.
It was a great finish.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a really good game to watch, actually. And Matt, you know, despite that, only 7 points in his last game, averaged 16.6 tournament points across the 5 games. And I know mission points are included in this. Like 3 of the missions have up to 500 points available.
I think you got 3 of them, didn't
I think he did, but he averaged more victory points than what was on the table in every single one of his games. 2,565.2.
And I've got to say this, it's not the most manoeuvrable army in the world.
he? No.
No.
It's fast, but it's not got
It's like-
chaff defense.
Yeah.
It's not got magic defense, which can cause it all sorts of
A
hiccups
lot
and
of
trouble.
problems, yeah.
Also,
Combined with the lack of manoeuvrability, really can cause it a lot of issues.
and
say
you
that-
saw that with the Wood Elf game.
Also, the lack of chaff defense isn't as much of an issue for the army as it is for others, because you can kill the chaff with the beasts.
Yeah.
They can just turn around and they can get charged and they still do the same amount of damage output.
Yeah,
as
but
you do.
it's you've charged some chaff and now I'm out of your arc and
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's not giving away victory
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So that's when I talk about like that quality of play and clearly setting up overlapping fields of vision so that it's not really possible for you to stop him getting all the victory points.
But there are Matt does encroach on like magic, and that does give you introduce a skill cap to the army, and he does play around it quite well.
Yeah, well, the proof of the pudding's in the eating.
Yeah.
People can say, "Oh, it's a strong list. It's a strong list,"
Mm.
but you know,
It doesn't play itself.
no list plays itself.
No, not at all.
It's certainly going to play easier than some others because it's powerful.
Yeah.
But you don't play. A list doesn't play itself to first place at a 40-odd man GT where you start with a 6 TP handicap.
No.
It doesn't. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
No.
The quality of the list is obviously there. He's got a skull cannon to take out enemy monsters.
Yeah.
He's
Epi.
He's got 3 blocks of very difficult beasts that put lots of dice out. He's got Epidemius, who
Nice.
buffs the entire army.
7 plague drones.
And he's got a little bit... The most manoeuvrable element, I suppose, is the plague drones by
Yeah.
virtue of the fact they can't be redirected. But you know, he also, it's worth pointing out, puts Epidemius in that block of Plaguebearers with no...
Yeah.
Doesn't hide him.
no, it doesn't hide him. Puts him in that block of Plaguebearers with no look out, sir.
No.
Every game.
Absolutely bosses it.
Yeah. And to his demise, or not quite demise, but to his detriment in game 3, I think, where both Epidemius and the Herald, who's on a Palanquin, so also no look at sir, died to the same death streaker.
They did get both a demolition rocketed.
Both got demo rocketed
But then
in 2 consecutive turns.
But in game 4 against Alan Benison, he facing a Hell Cannon. The Hell Cannon was continuing shooting at Epi and just absolutely manned it.
Yeah. Hilarious.
So I think as well, saying this worth pointing out, there was a lot of Chaos Dwarves this year.
There were
There were.
5.
Yeah.
And there was less elves. And I actually
Yeah.
think that plays into the hands of this list a little bit in the same way it did the last one. This list was packed full of poison.
Yeah.
It always,
And
it always is,
those
yeah.
monsters and those kind of...
The Iron Demons,
the
the
Iron
War
Demons,
Machines.
the
The War
War
Machines are
Mach-
harder to get to because generally you'll have to fight through the rest of the army. to
does
get
have
to
a
them.
skull cannon for that though.
He does, yeah. Yeah. But
The
that's
fact-
probably going to be the first target for those War
The
Machines.
fact he's got a ward save though,
Yeah.
meaning that he can kind of pass off some of the potential incoming damage. He's also his War Machine moves, so he can slide it
Yeah.
out and shoot, so he can kind of protect it at first.
Yeah.
These things all come into play in a way that shows you why the list is really capable. He can overlap with the drones.
The Daemonettes, going back to chaff clearance quickly, the Daemonettes are really good for that.
Yeah.
They'll kill any chaff. 2
Yeah.
attacks each.
Yeah.
Bit of static combat res as well.
It's
quick.
I get why he's gone for the standard for the fortitude point missions, but I possibly wouldn't have bothered. I think I might have gone for a musician. I might not have gone for any command. I might have just gone for 15 base and just used him as chaff myself.
I don't know why he's gone for champion. That seems like a lot. I don't know why he's taking a champion.
Yeah, even if I don't know off the top of my head, but even if he needed the points for core, I'd turn that into a musician.
Yeah, it's the same point as turning into a musician.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I might have been a little more brutal with them than Matt was at points.
And as we said, me and James probably would change the fort regen for 5+ poison because it's just.
Well, it's the one EP comes with.
Yeah, so
you save the points straight away on.
Save 50 points on that.
But then I understand that, like, ultimately the list, particularly when the tally's not up, it's only strength 4, so trying to make it more survivable is strong. And again, he's got less Plaguebearers, so then the urge to kind of try and make it more survivable is there.
Yeah, I can see it for sure.
But this list is tough. Again, we're back to similar to the Callum thing. The difference with this is that unlike dwarves, which are very slow moving and struggle to often reach out and grab the VPs, this throws loads of dice. It's actually reasonably quick, although not the most manoeuvrable. And so if you're being a competent and capable general, you're getting your flyers kind of behind your lines. You're cross referencing your fields of vision. You will find that it is challenging for your opponent unless they are hyper manoeuvrable to get away. And that's why I say I think elves become the nemesis. And there wasn't really any elves this year.
No,
which is another help.
A lot of people have either.
I think 6 combined. I think there were 6 elf factions combined.
And I know Matt wouldn't mind me saying that. I know he wouldn't mind me saying, I didn't have to fight a lot of elves, which are much more tricky for him,
Yeah.
And that's not to take away anything from the quality of that performance. It's another incredible performance. No lords. I know we often talk about the lords being not the best in the Demons book, but no lords, no magic, no scroll because they can't take one.
No.
Just overall, he's played it really well. They can't fight him for that at all.
No, you can't. It's a tough list. Yes.
You can bellyache about the list all you want. At that point,
he's losing 6 TPs. I mean, how much further do you want to go if we said he loses 8 TPs because we up the comp and again he still won the GT because he went out there and he got the hard graph victory points.
Yeah.
If we said the list was minus 10 TPs because it's so good, it's minus 10. Even though he's got no wizards, even if we did that, you know what? He still won the GT
because he scored 1,300. Almost 1,300 victory points more than second place.
Yeah.
And he lost one of his games to second place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and that goes to show you that the quality of the consistent generalship throughout that event
is what got him
drove him through to the top.
Absolutely.
And he played some really strong players. In fact, he went up. He did it the way I like to describe it. He did it the hard way. He went up onto table 1 after game 1. And he basically stayed there.
He did,
all weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Which means that he fought the toughest, the best in every single round of that GT.
Sorry, he was on table 3, round 2.
Yeah. Apologies.
Because 6 or 8 people had got 20 nils.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, from round 3, he was table 1.
Yeah, again, game 2, Stormfiend Skaven, very difficult.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Very difficult to deal with. Game 3, he had a 4 unbreakable unit. Chaos Dwarf army against a very skillful general. I must say, in Scott Reed, he's a great player. Game 4 fought last year's winner with Purple Sun Warriors Chaos army with Demon Prince 8. You can't. These are not things you can take away. And we've seen how good that Wood Elf list was because it came second, and that's what he had in Game 5. So let's be real.
He's played some real tough armies all weekend. Pretty much, and he's come out on top and absolutely deserves it.
And he started with a strong list and he's played good generalship, and ultimately that's what makes the top books the top books.
Yeah.
Because they are strong. I would say one small other thing is I think this year we saw a much bigger volume of softer comp lists where people
100%.
had gone for the plus to try to score their way into the kind of upper brackets towards the end by beavering. Now that meant that more plus lists did get to the top. Because they were fighting more kind of the same power level lists. But what it also means, and it's what I said before the event, my hot prediction was that a decent minus would win this event this year.
Yeah.
And it has come, and thus it has come to pass. Because that list goes in, and it's got, after game 1, it's game 2 opponent, it might. I don't know what it was rocking, but certainly
let me try and find it.
game
Pretty
3,
done.
it was an 8. It was an 8-point comp difference.
His game 2 was against a -2, so a 4-point comp difference.
Yep.
His game 3
point.
was 8 points. His game 4 was, I think, 5. I think Alan was on a -1.
Yep.
Sorry, Alan was on a -2, so that was 4 as well.
Yep. And then Chris the same,
Chris
4.
the 4.
So again, you're looking. So he actually fought some of the harder end of
Yeah.
this, but again, that was also because they were being able to pick up their points from some of the softer lists. So if we looked at when we went into day 2, I think it was something that was really interesting was all the top 6 lists were minuses of varying flavours, which is the first time that we've not had in the top 6 at the start of day 2 at least one list there was a 0 or a plus, a small plus, and I think that was because there was that huge gulf. And then one point I was chatting to a couple of guys and they were like, I'm taking the moral victory because there's a 15-point difference in our comp.
Yeah.
And again, that's because, those guys have gone for the drop and they get it in the drop at the end and they go up the draw, which is exactly how the comp system's meant to work.
Yeah.
Balances up the final results to show more generalship and less of the power of the list. But ultimately, the powerful list does always have that advantage if you're a good pilot. And what you see in the match situation is you see a fantastic pilot who does this consistently. 3rd place vampire counts, 2nd place demons, 1st place demons, and another 1st place demons.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a coincidence if you're doing it all the time.
No, not at all.
So,
Not at all.
and I must say that when he first got 1st place demons, comp went harder on demons.
Yep.
And he got 2nd place demons last year, comp went harder on demons. 1st place this year.
Yeah.
The pilot skills there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's what happens. You get a strong list, good pilot, and the more lists that are easier to get through. It's just interesting. It's just interesting to see how that'll affect and shake up next year. Will we see more elves? Because I think what demons did really well, and elves are strong against them. Or...
Yeah, and death works really well with 2 of the elf factions. Anyway, high elves can
also
take
do
it, but
they can also do it as well. But
it's
not,
just
not
a very
as well.
different high elf list.
Not
to
not
really
as well.
make it work.
But you could say, well, I'll go techless.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I think this is the question now. Like, this is the thing that becomes really interesting.
I think next year's Triple Crown will be very interesting to see the spread of comp, whether we are still seeing that trend towards more plus lists, and the split of armies, whether we will go back to seeing more elves. I don't think we'll see anywhere near as many Chaos Dwarves, if I'm honest. I think, they're I'm sure a fun army to use, but I think the people that brought them because they all wanted to.
They were
bring
doing
the
a
same
group
army
thing.
and
They were
see
doing that.
who
Yeah.
could sort of
I can tell you
perform
for a
the
fact,
best, but
2,900 points to Chaos Dwarves is not that fun.
I mean, certainly, I still kind of hold to the adim that small minus is really where my head still feels danger zone all the time.
Yeah.
And North remembers I took small minus, very similar comp system to this. Cardiff Crusade was again very similar. Took small minus, came high up there. So, two small, a small minus, a big minus, and a big plus is lovely to see the comp spread working to show generalship. And there are usual names in that mix.
Yeah,
Two of those are repeat offenders. And I just think it shows the generalship quality of those guys and picking the right combinations for this event too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, it's going to be interesting to see what next year's Triple Crown brings.
I can't wait. I can't even wait to have this same video when we
in 12 months' time.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the one in a few months when we talk about the derby.
Yeah,
because there's a whole different meta
That's
of
a
event
whole
and
ball
a
game.
whole different ball game again.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. I can't wait to reload and do it all over again.
Yes, but I think we'll leave it there for today's snippet. Thank you for joining us, and we will be back in this style of video in a couple of months' time for Derby's rundown of the top 3 lists. But make sure right now you head back to wherever you've come to view this from, whether it's the Knight of the Realm Mustering Ground, the Knight Errant Stables, I think.
I want to say stables.
Or YouTube, might be on YouTube.
The tube of you.
You might be on YouTube. And then check out all of our other content. But for now, we will see you next time.
See you soon, guys. Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share.
then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do it for Warhammer!